Wylly Willmott with the National Sports Media Association. Today I have the privilege of interviewing Everett Fitzhugh, play-by-play voice of the Seattle Kraken and 2023's Washington Co-Sportscaster of the Year. Everett, thank you for being here today.
Hey, thank you for having me. This was quite the honor. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And my first question is, how does it feel to win this award? What was it like when you got the news?
Honestly, it's unbelievable. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought I was getting punked for a second. Um, no, it was a huge honor. This is a career path. This is something that I genuinely enjoy doing. You don't do this for the accolades. You don't do
Mm,
this for the recognition, but to be able to see my peers and folks who I look up to and who I respect so much, voting and choosing me a part of a very rich and rare company. It's phenomenal. I was taken aback when I got that phone call.
Oh, that's incredible. No, the peer voted aspect of the award is amazing. I've heard it makes it mean so much more.
It does. It
So
does.
it's so great to hear. And again, you brought up the passion you have, like for sports, for your job. When did that passion start? What got you into sports broadcasting?
Yeah, so I mean, I got into sports broadcasting when I was in college, but I always knew that I wanted to work in sports in some
Mm.
capacity. I never knew or even imagined that play-by-play was an option. I wanted to be Stuart Scott on the
Oh,
Sports Center desk growing up. That's who I looked up to. So to be able to see or to say rather that, hey, I'm in the NHL as a play-by-play broadcaster. I got my start in college at Bowling Green in Ohio, and I did my first game as an 18-year-old freshman, and I fell in love with every aspect of broadcasting hockey, play-by-play of the industry. And I remember after my first game, I was a color analyst, and I
mm.
called my mom the next day, and I was like, "Well, we're gonna put all these eggs in the play-by-play hockey basket here." So it was a very long road. It was a very fun road
Mm.
getting to this point. But yeah, I 20 years ago asked me, "What are you doing?" Sitting here as an award winner for an NHL team probably wouldn't have been high on my list, but I'm very happy and very honored for the opportunity.
No, well, that's amazing. And when people think play by play, a lot of what comes to mind is the actual work you do live while the
Yeah.
game is going on. Clearly, a ton of preparation goes
Oh,
into
yeah.
those games, a lot of practice. What are some of the things you do to prepare that have gotten you to this point?
Yeah, I think, every step of the way is different, right? Before I got here to Seattle, I was in Cincinnati with the ECHL. I was in Youngstown with the USHL. So you're doing game notes, you're doing marketing, you're doing digital, social, sales, all of the other duties as assigned that we are preached to from the second we step into SM 101, right? It was a lot of that. But now that you find yourself as a full-time broadcaster, you find yourself in the NHL full-time, you have more opportunity to become an expert in your field, an expert in your sport. We're very fortunate that we get to travel with the team. We get to have open locker rooms and things like that. So I get to talk to our players. I get to know them on a personal level, not only on the on ice level. So that helps as well. But I think for me, it's just continually trying to find something new to bring to a
Mm,
broadcast. Anybody can call the play, right? That's the easy part.
right.
Calling the play is the easy part, right? The up and down the ice, that's easy. What can you do to add some more brevity, some more depth to the broadcast? So that is what I always try to do, whether it's through a story, whether it's through my lame attempt at dad humor. I think I'm hilarious. My wife also thinks I'm hilarious. That's what I'm going to tell
Hey,
everybody.
that's half the battle.
It's half the battle, right? So, but always trying to see what you can do to bring something more to the broadcast, being informative. We're very lucky and fortunate to be here in Seattle, where we're growing a hockey community here. There hasn't been NHL hockey here before. I grew
Mm,
up in Detroit with the Red Wings, so we're hockey town. But here, trying to educate your fans, trying to educate our community and our area on the NHL, on the game that we love. That is the fun part. So what can I do? How can I prepare to be that teacher, to be that
Absolutely.
educator, if you will, in this arena, in this space?
Definitely. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. I can
Yeah,
attest, not a huge hockey, but I'm like town, but I'm glad you're growing it in the area. In
yeah.
2023, did you have like a certain moment you can look back on where just something really special that happened, whether in terms of growing the game or just broadcasting or story that you brought like to your viewers?
I think for me, the biggest part about last season was our trip to the playoffs. When we made the playoffs in our second year, was very special, and to
Mm.
be able to go to the second round, to be able to be the voice that painted that picture was such a huge honor. I grew up watching playoff hockey. It was must see viewing my entire life growing up. So to be able to bring that to life was great. To be able to have my calls as some of the more iconic moments of our team's brief history is an honor that I'll never forget, and I'll never let go unappreciated. So that was probably the biggest achievement for me, was that first playoff game, that playoff clinch, the
Mm.
first game seven, the first overtime winner, game four, the heartbreak of losing game seven in the second round, 9 seconds left. Oh my goodness. I want to cry right now retelling all
Right.
this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was just the ups and downs, and so many people here in Seattle, they lived through a Seahawks Super Bowl. They
Mm.
remember the Sonics won the championship back in the 70s, right? And they lifelong Mariners fans, and everyone always told me, well, we've had playoffs here before. What makes the NHL playoffs that much better, right? Everyone always says,
Yeah.
oh, it's that. And then you do the playoffs, and then you
Mm.
go through that run, and you're like, okay, now I understand. Now I get it. So there was a lot of that from our fans. There was a lot of that from the community that was really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talking about that heartbreaking moment when y'all lost, like
Yeah.
you get to represent that for all of the fans who are feeling the same things that you're feeling as you're watching
Yeah.
the game. So
Yeah.
that's incredible. Going back to just how you ended up in the Pacific Northwest, you
Yeah.
said you grew up in Detroit, Michigan, like went to college then in Ohio at Bowling Green State, so
Yeah.
sort of in the Midwest area. Did you ever think you'd end up way out west here covering hockey? You're part of history and building this program, but it's definitely far away.
Yeah, I don't think I ever thought that I would have ended up out here in Seattle. This is an industry where you go where the work is, you
Mm.
go where the team is. So, if that is in Seattle, great. If that is in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I was, fantastic. There are minor league teams all over the country and a lot of small towns, and you prepare yourself. I remember before we were married, my wife and I were together in Cincinnati,
Mm.
and I was preparing her for a life in an AHL town in the Northeast somewhere. You never know, right?
Yeah.
The fact that we were able to get lucky and to start our life and our family here in Seattle has been great. But you always are ready and prepared for that moment, wherever that moment may be. I've been very lucky in my life that I've either been close-ish to home. I can
Mhm.
hop in a car and drive home, or I've been in a major city, Seattle, Cincinnati. So that's always good. But I remember when the NHL announced they were coming to Seattle, and I've got some cousins who live out here, and I get a
Oh,
phone
awesome.
call one day, and they were like, "Hey, the NHL, we got that NHL team, you should apply." And I'm like, "All right," his name's Jimmy. I'm like, "All right,
Right.
Jimmy." Like everybody and their grandmother's going to be applying for this job. This was early. This was 18 when they first announced it.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I'm like, all right, NHL's coming to Seattle. Yeah, right, whatever. Fast forward, what, 3.5 years later, and I'm moving out here. And I actually saw Jimmy not too long after I moved, and he said, Remember what I told you? Yeah, you remember what I told you. So, but yeah, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined it would have been in Seattle, let alone
Mm,
the NHL. As young as I was, I mean, I'm 35 now. I got this job at 32, which is
yeah,
unheard of.
absolutely.
So.
No, Jimmy's gonna be taking credit for that one from
Oh
what
yeah, 100%.
I'm
He already does.
feeling.
Yeah, I told him. I told him he should have applied. I was the one who told him. He's already letting everybody know. Jimmy's letting everybody know that I was the one who first told him about the job.
Oh,
So
that's too good. And lastly, do you have any advice for someone, an aspiring sports broadcaster, someone in high
yeah,
school and college, getting ready for a career in sports or pursuing that?
yeah. I think for me the biggest piece of advice that I ever got, and I will sing this from the mountaintops every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Be prepared to fail
Mm,
and understand that it is okay to fail. And I think that in this industry, there are so few jobs, there are fewer positions, and there are so many people who are going after broadcasting jobs in my industry, right? In particular. So keep doing what you're doing. If you genuinely have the passion and the desire and the want and the will to do this, don't ever quit. And I tell you what, right now, 5 years in Cincinnati, another couple years in the USHL. I did this for going on close to a decade, right? You're
mm.
unloading bags in Wheeling, West Virginia, and we had 3-3 in Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, and Brampton, Ontario with travel. I've broken down in the middle of a desolate road in Georgia, helping to
Oh,
push a bus out of a
wow.
ditch, right? But all of these things, it might not sound glamorous, but the journey was so much fun. And I've applied for so many jobs in my life. I've been turned down for so many jobs. I didn't even hear back from so many jobs, and each one of those is classified as a failure. But I
Mm,
kept going. I kept continuing to grow my craft. I kept continuing to show my passion, finding ways that I can be useful, that I can be of value to an organization. And there are going to be days when you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to hang it up. You're going to curse everything and
mm.
everyone you can find, and that's okay. It's okay because it lets you know that you have passion for this, that you have the desire to want to do this. So it is okay to fail. You are going to fail. But as long as you get back up after you fail and don't give up after you fail, that's going to be the most important thing. I look back at my career, I look back at my path to get here. It was not perfect, it was not always glamorous. Sometimes it sucked, and I
Mm.
will tell you that from the heart. It sucked. But I look back and I would embrace the suck all over again. I would not change a single thing, a single hardship, a single anything from the last 15 years of my career. I wouldn't do it. And
Oh,
and
wow. I
that
mean,
is
that's,
the
yeah,
that's the
amazing
advice.
advice for life and sports broadcasting, anything you want to do. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And I also really appreciate you making time to speak with me right in the middle of your season. Congrats again on the award. Hope everything goes well.
Hey, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you.